how to build a game. I mean, how do they go from this to that? How do they go from basic shapes to immersive worlds? How did we on Rabbit's Tail go from basic shapes to immersive worlds? How are games built from ugly to bling? What's going on, guys? Gabriel Aguiar here, currently developing Rabbit's Tail, a mix of metroidvania with roguelike elements, kinda of imagine if you mixed Ori with 80s. Wishlist it now, by the way. But essentially this video is how do games go from basic shapes to beautiful worlds? Well, we gotta start somewhere, right? And those basic shapes are a good start. They are easy to build and easy to destroy. They are easy to mold, and that's very important. They have a huge purpose because of that. They help us to test quick ideas, quick game design ideas, and quick many things. It's easy to destroy, easy to build. And there's a tool which I think I have also seen being used in Rayman called Sprite Shape. Obviously Rayman has its own engine, but in Unity it's Sprite Shape, and it's the best when it comes to prototyping. It's very flexible. Obviously at this stage 80%, if not even more, of the main character should be done. How does it move? I mean, does it run, walk, fly, dig, swim? What is its locomotion? That's very important at this stage, obviously. And in part, that's how we are developing Rabbit's Tail. First the character and then the level design. We had a prototyping phase where we had a bunch of things. Well, the squares, like I said, is a crucial part. From there, after its test, we gather reference on how is it going to look like. From every medium you can imagine, from movies, TV shows, comics, paintings, and obviously from games. And from there, we move on to a concept art phase. Once we have the concept art, for example, just like we did here for this village, it was entirely a sketch before being anything else. And it's useful because there's a back and forward process with that sketch, with that concept art, so it fits the vision we have. And then we analyze elements of that concept art that can be built into the final game. What can be reused across the different frames of that region, or what is gonna be a unique piece of art, for example. Let's look at this ground here. It's a tileable texture, for example. It has a unique beginning and a unique end, and in between it repeats itself, and it's the magic of Sprite Shape tool. We can control it with those points. It's awesome. Or is it a unique piece of art like these buildings? So now that we have the basics, we also analyze how are we gonna layer all of this. How many layers do we need here? Let me tell you, there's quite a few layers in some frames, so there's a beautiful parallax going on. So yeah, as you can imagine, there's a huge amount of layering going on. And at this stage we also take a look at what are the parts gonna be used in the middle ground. Can we reuse the ground for the middle ground? Maybe we can, if it has a little bit of a different tint and a little bit of blur. Can we use some of these bushes near the road for the foreground? Perhaps we can reuse that, if it's set to dark and with a lot of blur, for example. And all the way back, how will it look like? The mountains themselves. Are they going to be used with Sprite Shape, or is it a unique piece of art? So yeah, it's an heavy process of layering. And then there's another heavy player here, which is lights and shadows. They play a crucial role here. Just so you get an idea, this is how this frame looks without any kind of lights. I mean, there's a huge difference, right? Lights and shadows allows us to create a very unique ambience and unique setting, even while reusing some art. It's amazing. These trees right here, for example, are the same, but if we play with the lights and shadows, the outcome is totally different. So yeah, lights and shadows are huge as well. Another player that comes in is post-processing effects. They are huge, they are important. Like a vignette sometimes, like a nice bloom or glow here and there, you know, go a long way. Post-processing and lights can be so important that even on the same scene, we can create easily different times of the day. Finally, what developers also use a lot when going from basic squares to immersive worlds is visual effects on top of the environment. For example, in this case of the village that we have in Rabbit's Tale, there's some tiny dusk particles moving around. There's god rays. There's wind. There's also these mists and other stuff. Sometimes it's very minimal, but they add to that immersive feeling. Oh, and let's not forget the other life forms moving around. They also contribute to the immersion. Like we have here some birds flying around, butterflies, and so on. So that's it, folks. Huge amount of work goes into transforming squares to final art. So this was kind of a game dev vlog on Rabbit's Tale. Go wishlist it now, by the way, links below. A devlog more focused on how do we polish our game visually, from squares to beautiful spots. It all starts with basic shapes for testing. Once it's heavily tested, usually there's reference gathering and a concept art. From there, the other artists extract which elements need to be created, and then they put it all back together and start replacing those basic shapes. Lights and shadows play an extremely important role, and eventually there's visual effects and post-processing effects on top of all of that. So, now you know, and I hope you have enjoyed. And folks, it would mean a lot if you could wishlist Rabbit's Tale. I left links below or follow in our social media. So, thanks for watching, hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope to see you on the next one. And now you know how it goes from basic shapes to beautiful worlds. Thanks, bye.